Cullen goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Martin Luther King Day to you. Judging from the empty streets, a lot of you do have the day off, and I'm happy for you. But I do hope it's not just another day to go shopping. I do hope that some time will be taken to think about Dr. King, his message, his struggle, his life. I was just rereading his letter that he wrote while incarcerated in Birmingham, Alabama's jail. And it is a well-known letter, and he wrote it to the clergy of the city of Birmingham, to his brethren, to priests, to pastors, to rabbis. And he was responding to a letter that they had written. I don't know if it was every single clergyman in Birmingham, but apparently the vast majority. And rather than support the efforts of Dr. King, these men of God had decided to condemn Dr. King and the protests that he was leading. And what really set off the letter were two adjectives that his fellow clergymen used. And that was that they had told Dr. King that his activities were unwise and untimely. And this letter is it is something, because it is an effort by this man sitting in jail to explain why those two adjectives were absolutely not in any way justified, especially coming from men of God, men who professed to follow the teachings of Jesus. And this letter is long as holy heck. I forgot about how long it was. I had wanted to read it to you, but I don't think I can. It shows how erudite Dr. King was, how knowledgeable he was, not only in biblical history and in religious studies, but also in history in general. If you don't mind, I'll try to hop, jump, skip through it and just give you certain paragraphs. Some are, I guess, well known, but if you have never read it in its entirety, I do think one thing you could do today where you are actually observing this national holiday. Holiday doesn't seem like the right word for it. Holiday to me sounds like, celebration. Maybe this can be a celebration of his life, but given the fact that our country is still so horrendously torn by racial division, I don't think Dr. King, if he were living today, would look on this America and feel that he had succeeded. He was most sick and tired, clearly, of hearing people say this is not the right time. And people who protest, who demonstrate, are forever being told that, by those who are enjoying the status quo. He says this: one of the basic points in your statement is that the action I and my associates have taken in Birmingham is untimely. Some have asked, why didn't you give the new city administration time to act? Well, the only answer that I can give you is that the new Birmingham administration must be prodded as much as the outgoing one before it will act. We are sadly mistaken if we feel that the election of Albert Boutwell will bring the millennium to Birmingham. While Mr. Boutwell is a much more gentle person than Mr. Connor, they are both segregationists dedicated to maintenance of the status quo. I have hope that Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable enough to see the futility of massive resistance to desegregation, but he will not see this without pressure from devotees of civil rights. My friends, I must say to you that we have not made a single gain in civil rights without determined legal and non-violent pressure. Lamentably, it is a historical fact that privileged groups seldom give up their privileges voluntarily. Individuals may see the moral light and voluntarily give up their unjust posture, but as Reinhold Niebuhr has reminded us, groups tend to be more immoral than individuals. We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Frankly, I have yet to engage in a direct action campaign that was well-timed in the view of those who have not suffered unduly from the disease of segregation. For years now, I have heard the word wait. It rings in the ear of every Negro with piercing familiarity. This wait has always meant never. We must come to see with one of our distinguished jurists that justice too long delayed is justice denied. We have waited for more than 340 years for our constitutional and God-given rights. Perhaps it is easy for those who have never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait. But when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will and drown your sisters and brothers at whim, when you have seen hate-filled police curse, kick, and even kill your black brothers and sisters, when you see the vast majority of your 20 million Negro brothers smothering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of an affluent society, when you suddenly find your tongue twisted and your speech stammering as you seek to explain to your 6-year-old daughter why she can't go to the public amusement park that has just been advertised on television, and see tears welling up in her eyes when she is told that Funtown is closed to colored children, and see the ominous clouds of inferiority beginning to form in her little mental sky, and see her beginning to distort her personality by developing an unconscious bitterness toward white people. When you have to concoct an answer for a 5-year-old son who is asking, Daddy, why do white people treat us so mean? When you take a cross-country drive and find it necessary to sleep night after night in the uncomfortable corners of your car because no motel will accept you. When you are humiliated day in and day out by nagging signs reading white and colored. When your first name becomes nigger, your middle name becomes boy, however old you are, and your last name becomes John, and your wife and mother are never given the respected title Mrs., when you are harried by day and haunted by night by the fact that you are a Negro, living constantly at a tiptoe stance, never quite knowing what to expect next, and are plagued with inner fears and outer resentments, when you are forever fighting a degenerating sense of nobodiness, then you will understand why we find it difficult to wait. There comes a time when the cup of endurance runneth over, and men are no longer willing to be plunged into the abyss of despair. I hope, sirs, you can understand our legitimate and unavoidable impatience. You express a great deal of anxiety over our willingness to break laws.